Hey, CJ here. It's the 4th of July, and a lot of us have been celebrating with grill cookouts and family, of course. That's got to be number one, right? And friends and all those good times. But something just isn't right if you live in Oklahoma City, and I think you know what I'm talking about. I don't happen to live in Oklahoma City, but I can understand how those folks must feel right now losing Kevin Durant, their star player, except for Russell Westbrook, who's still there for at least another season, unless a trade suddenly goes down, and I don't see that happening myself, but who knows in this topsy-turvy world of professional sports. I want to talk about Kevin Durant's decision mostly, almost entirely through the angle of how the fans should feel and how he handled the decision. Not so much from the basketball point of view, but looking at those other factors. If you are a Thunder fan or an Oklahoma City sports fan, I can't blame you for being angry. You knew Kevin Durant for years now, almost an entire decade, close to it. Not quite 10 years, closer to 8, but you've had the opportunity to really know this guy, and he's largely represented your city to the rest of the country and the world, the basketball-loving world. This guy was your guy, and he up and left you. And I'm not saying that to rub salt in the wound. I'm simply saying I understand where that anger comes from. You have one professional sports team that you have that's widely recognized. There are other professional sports teams you have, but they're not widely recognized the way a basketball, football, baseball, or even hockey team would be. I say even hockey, not to put down hockey, but let's face facts, hockey's not as popular as the other three. This has to really hurt. But I want to say a couple things about how Kevin went about his decision, and I have to give him some compliments here. People want to talk about hometown this and hometown that. He's not from Oklahoma City. He's from D.C., the D.C. area. He was drafted by Seattle. Now, obviously, the Supersonics became the Thunder, but they were the Seattle Supersonics when Kevin, KD, was drafted. So Kevin's known other cities. He's not from Oklahoma. He's not from Oklahoma City. He's from the East Coast, and then he was drafted to play for a West Coast team. So this isn't similar to LeBron James at all. I understand that it's tempting because of LeBron James being the guy other than Steph Curry. They're the top two players in this game, and no doubt about it, Steph and LeBron. But LeBron was a hometown boy, an Akron guy. He was from the area, and Kevin isn't. Any representation of Kevin as an Oklahoma City guy is based on a professional sports contract, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Mike Schmidt isn't from Philadelphia, and I associate him with Philadelphia. He isn't from here, but I still think of him as a Philly guy. Some people might disagree with me. I think he's very much a Philly guy, despite not being from Philadelphia and his relationship with Philly being professional. But it's not like LeBron, and that's the point I want to make. He didn't rip out his hometown's heart. There was no decision. That's the second point I wanted to make. There was no The Decision show. Yeah, I know LeBron's show raised money for charity, which is great, but it really hurt a lot of Clevelanders' feelings, because when you make something like a stage show out of your decision, are you going to stay home or are you going to leave, it's expected that you're going to stay at that point, because who would rip their home city, even if he's not from Cleveland itself but from the surrounding area? Who would do that on national TV? And I'm not from Cleveland, but my feeling is LeBron did what he had to do to get back in the good graces, even before winning the championship. The fact that he returned and played very hard and had a lot of success from working really hard and made it clear that he didn't know at the time how much it would hurt Cleveland when he left and left the way he did. Well, this isn't really about LeBron because we're talking about KD here, but there was no the decision. Kevin, as far as I could tell, handled this very classy from the get-go. I don't think he did anything wrong. And it was clear for a while it was going to be either Golden State or Oklahoma City. I already made a video about this. And Boston, I wasn't really thinking about Boston much at all. Boston became a late player, and they brought in Tom Brady, and they really, really tried hard. Kurt Schilling wrote an essay, and darn, Boston worked really hard to try to bring in Kevin Durant. But, you know, Kevin stayed classy throughout this. The bottom line is, I don't blame you if you're an Oklahoma City fan or someone who's just upset to see a guy leave after being there for so long and then deciding to spend the last years of his career. Well, we don't even know that. It's a 2-year contract, so we don't know how long he'll stay in Golden State. But if you're upset about that, there are a number of factors at play here, and I don't blame you for being initially upset, but as time passes on, those emotions should start to simmer down. Kevin wants rings. He wants championships. He could have made a lot of money by staying in Oklahoma City. He could have made a lot of money doing that. But instead, he's headed to California, where the money ain't worth quite as much, especially for him. He's very competitive. He wants rings. He could get that in OKC as well. But Golden State, of course, set the record for most wins in a regular season last year. And they were a couple plays away from winning the title again. And they've already won a title not too long ago. So some people might see this kind of move as cowardly. I don't. I don't think it's inherently like that. I think he's trying to build the best team possible and really so that he has the best possible chance to win. I mean, that used to be somewhat typical that teams would stack their talent before we entered the modern sports era where it was harder for teams to stack talent and salary caps came in and things that prevented that sort of thing. But, you know, what Kevin's doing is not something too unusual historically. I know some people say, well, what if Michael Jordan teamed up with such and such, or such and such teamed up with Michael Jordan? That's more the other way around, really, because we know how good Michael was on his own. You know, what if this guy teamed with the other guy? The fact of the matter is, well, what if they did? I don't think that's necessarily a problem. What LeBron James did, I don't think, in my mind, it had nothing to do with Wade. It had nothing to do with him teaming up with another superstar. I had no problem with that part of it. My problem was ripping out your home region on national television. But that's in the past. I think people, even before winning a title, he should have been forgiven because he understood that he could have handled it better. He might have not run around saying he was sorry, but I think he knew in his heart of hearts. I think he made that clear. In Kevin's case, I don't think he has anything to apologize for. And the reason I keep saying Kevin instead of Durant is because Kevin's easier to say. So understand that Oklahoma City, yeah, there's going to be some retooling. They're not going to win the championship next year unless something happens that I can't see. Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't see it. I think there's a good chance that for the first time in NBA history, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, that the same two teams will play in the championship for the third straight year in a row. I don't think that's ever happened before. I looked it up, and I don't believe that's ever happened. So that's my opinion. I don't blame fans for being unhappy, but Kevin Durant handled this very well, and there's nothing wrong with what he did. If he stacked Golden State to make it so easy for them to win a title next year, then so be it. There's nothing cowardly about what he did. He's trying to win a championship ring. That's my opinion. You're welcome to disagree. Either way, feel free to leave a comment if you'd like. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it, and see you next time.